You're live on the Joy News channel for the AM News with me, Sweetie Abochi. Starting with, to promote transparency and good governance, Star Ghana Foundation has embarked on a mission to empower Ghanaian youth to demand for accountability from their leaders so as to keep them on their toes. We'll tell you more about it in this report.
The Capacity Building Workshop for Youth Accountability Corps aimed to equip 32 young people from across the country with the skills and knowledge necessary to hold their leaders accountable. Through the training, the youth will be abreast with the manifesto and budget of the government to make them question the government always. Programs Manager for Youth Bridge Foundation, Joyce Nyame, highlights the need for the youth to know what the government has for them in their manifesto and budget.
We seek to empower and inspire accountability from young people and also for them to be able to demand accountability from policymakers. This is a second leg of the training. We've had one already last year ahead of the general elections, and then from what we've been observing, they are inspired more with the capacity that they are asking for to be able to do that. So we are quite sure after this training, they will hit the ground running in making sure that the government in power commit and also keep to the promises it's made during the election period.
The student trainee, Devina Owusu-Kufuor, shared her joy in partaking in the workshop as that has enabled her to know how to amplify her voice in demanding for accountability.
I joined the training because I wanted to learn, especially about the economic policies and how they would impact my life as a youth. I have learned that I should be abreast with the national budget so that I can hold the government accountable to his promises.
Through interactive sessions, role plays, and group discussions, participants gained a deeper understanding of governance, accountability, and their role in promoting transparency. An assembly member from the Ashanti region, Ernest Ajiman, assured he would share the knowledge gained with community members so they can also be empowered.
Going back to the community, I will make sure I organize little Deba, community Deba, and then train them, have a conversation with them, let them know the importance of asking questions because accountability leads to success.
Involving the youth in national discourse and decision-making has become imperative as their voices cannot be curtailed if development is a priority for any government. Jennifer August's report read to you.
Gender advocates have called for more deliberate efforts in ensuring fair representation of women in leadership and governance. Speaking on the first episode of Women Rising, a Joy News Star Ghana Foundation initiative with funding from Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, panelists agreed that though there's been some progress in women inclusion, a lot more work is required in shoring up the numbers. Elsie Asiedu-Akisiedu monitored the show and filed this report.
While the government is said to have made notable strides, the discussants on the first episode of Women Rising noted that women's representation still lags behind the required minimum. Executive Director of the Gender Center for Empowering Development, GENCED, Esther Tewia, highlighted godfatherism and political monetization as major barriers hindering women's representation in leadership and governance.
Now, when you look at, again, our political party system and you look at the internal political party practices, the internal practices, again, does not align with democratic principles. And so you have a political party system that is centered around godfatherism, that is centered around money, that is centered around age-old tradition. That you hear the appointment coming up and you go deep into it, not this government alone, you go deep into the former government, you go to their backgrounds, their fathers or uncles or aunties or whatever were linked to Dankwa Buzia tradition, their mothers or fathers were linked to it and NDC back and forth. You hear even with the former vice president where they linked him that your father's political capital is here. A lot more women parents do not really have that political capital. And so in homes where there's that political capital, there's emphasis on the male person to be the driver of it, of the political capital that they've gained.
Labour expert Bashiratu Kamal was of the view that beyond the legal frameworks, societal attitudes towards women in leadership must shift. She revealed that gender-based violence is still on the rise, hindering the progress.
This country has been mismanaged by men. Who has asked them questions about their competency anyway? You get it? So my issue is, let's remove the standards we are putting there, because that is the excuse the political parties are giving us. Because they tell you we do have women, but they are not competent enough. And once we ourselves are using the competency as a tool, then we shoot ourselves in the foot. And we can't say that enough. To be frank, because we are here and we are seeking to find solutions. One of the biggest challenges that women have in political party for progression, development, and ascending to the highest authority has been issues of gender-based violence.
Head of programs at Star Ghana, Eunice Agbenyaji, called on the media and civil society organizations to develop traceability systems that will track the effectiveness of the Affirmative Action Act implementation.
If we don't, re-emphasize and follow the appointments to make sure that at least the 30% is attained, we wouldn't get there, because there are political tensions, even in the government, there are actors that are not yet transformed in terms of their appreciation of what women bring to the table, So we need as civil society and the media, of course, to follow the appointment.
Quite a number of the live studio audience also had the opportunity to make contributions and ask critical questions that require national attention and probe. As Ghana moves forward, the implementation of the Affirmative Action Act stands as a critical step towards dismantling barriers and promoting a more inclusive political landscape.
Koginta Ghana's country director, Dr. Reverend Clement Alpeguro, says community policing is key to preventing violent extremism and domestic violence. Speaking at a workshop in Wa, he emphasized public involvement in security and the need for police-community collaboration. Joy News' Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
To strengthen community resilience and the Ghana Police Service's capacity in managing the threats of violent extremism, the European Union, through Koginta, organized a 4-day community policing training for selected hotspots in the Upper West region. The training aimed to equip police officers with the requisite skills necessary to facilitate the implementation of community policing in Ghana. Country Director of Koginta, Dr. Reverend Father Clement Ampeno, in an interview with Joy News, explained the purpose of the workshop for the police.
We are piloting it in all the 5 regions of northern Ghana. This project was piloted in the south in 3 police districts. And because of the violent extremism threats and also potential for domestic violence, we think that community policing is one of the best ways for the police to be able to gather information that can be processed into useful intelligence to keep communities safe.
Dr. Reverend Father Clement Ampeno noted that community policing is key to preventing violent extremism and potential domestic violence.
The fear of crime can be even more debilitating than crime itself. Does the community understand? Every community is different. In one community, it may be armed robbery. In another community, it may be cattle rustling. In another community, it's a different thing. So what are the crimes in the community? What crimes are people afraid of? And how do we work together with the Ghana Police Service to reduce these crimes so that the average person can go to sleep in peace? For instance, in the community policing strategy, there are community watchdogs. What does community watchdog mean? Who can be a member of the community watchdog? And how are they trained? Then you have community police assistants. These are all part of the strategy.
Deputy Upper West Regional Commander of the Ghana Police Service, ACP, Dr. Dinam Zoiku, on his part, observed that policing is shifting away from a reactionary force to a proactive approach. Dr. Zoiku added that a lack of trust between police and community members hinders effective service delivery.
It takes two to tango. So we want to get the public involved in how we provide solutions to the policing problems they have. And this is the reason why we would like the public to know that, yes, we are also doing our best to improve in the way we provide services to them. And so they should have the trust in us. They should come to us when they are in trouble. When they see us in the communities, they should know that we are there for their safety.
The Upper West Regional Officer of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Madam Catherine B.K. Hesse, has urged the government to establish a thread factory to support the Ghana Weavers Association. She said this would boost production, add value to their products, and enhance exports under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Join us, Rafiq Salam, again.
Speaking at a graduation of 230 weavers in the Upper West region, Upper West Regional Officer of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU of Ghana, Catherine B.K. Hesse, commended the Ghana Weavers Association, GAWA, for its invaluable contribution to the country's development over the years. She singled out the training given to the sea of apprentices, which has created employment opportunities for them to be self-employed, thereby bettering their lives.
You have graduated from weaving training, helping to address the pressing issue of unemployment in our nation. The employment created through this initiative has provided meaningful opportunity for young men and women, helping to reduce the social vices in our community.
Catherine B.K. Hesse, however, called on the government to establish a thread factory in the region to support the work of the Ghana Weavers Association.
We would like to take this opportunity to appeal to the government of Ghana to support weavers in establishing a factory in the production for the threads they use in weaving their cloth here in the Upper West region. This will bring in production closer to them. We all know how much they contribute to the growth of this country. Furthermore, though the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, weavers would benefit from the exportation of their beautiful weave cloths, but they will need more molding machines to enhance their craft.
There was further appeal to the government from the chairperson of the Ghana Modern Traditional Cloth Weavers Association, Euphemia Sanzere.
Many people are not roaming at the street, so we want people to train more and more. If we have support from the government, we'll be happy for that.
In another development, the Center for National Culture, CNC, also graduated 32 weavers. The aim of the project, which was initiated in 1992, is to empower the girl child. Upper West Regional Minister Loya Luwonga Charles Pozun spoke of the commitment of the government to retool vocational and technical institutions in the country.
Government firmly believes that skills training is the backbone of sustainable economic growth. That's why government is determined to channel a significant amount of resources to vocational and technical education and training.
As the world keeps advancing, the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies and Research at the Cape Coast Technical University, Surveyor Professor Emmanuel Bamfoe, is urging the use of artificial intelligence in postgraduate studies and research. He believes when it's used properly and properly guided, it will guide improved postgraduate research and promote community development. Abigail Isel Nkrumah has more in this report.
The 5th International Conference of Postgraduate Studies held in the University of Cape Coast was on the theme Transforming Communities, Postgraduate Education and Research for Resilience and Development in Africa. The 3-day conference covered research presentations on areas such as economics, technology, and environment.
We organized this conference is to help bring together graduate students internationally so that they can deliberate, network, learn about what each other is doing, and make contacts such that they can get information support for their research. I guess one of the students raised an issue which is very minute. I mean, it doesn't happen in all the, departments. But they may have personal reasons too. But all that we want to tell them is that we need to encourage them to source for such funding so that it can help them finish their studies. Postgraduate students should have time. They should have time because research entails a lot of time. And to obtain a postgraduate degree, you need to be focused, you need to have time, and you need to plan. So I believe if they do these things, then we can have quality graduates being produced.
One of the topics raised at the opening ceremony was the use of artificial intelligence in graduate studies, to which the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies and Research at the Cape Coast Technical University, Surveyor Professor Emmanuel Bamfueje, agrees.
We should not, be always criticizing negatively on the use of AI. Because AI has come to stay. Whatever we do, AI has come to stay. Whenever you are teaching, students use AI to see whether what you are saying is on the right path. And so we don't need to frown on them, but let us build on what AI is. Let us use the positive of AI to leverage on our research outputs in Africa. Because if we don't want it, the world is using it. And that is what we need to do so that at least we can catch up with what the world is using. But we need to focus on originality and not just copying the work and using it. Because definitely when you copy it, you will be observed, and that would be tantamount to plagiarism.
The president of the Graduate Students Association of Ghana UCC branch, Robert Iping Nankob, at the closing ceremony advocated for government and academic stakeholders to show more interest in postgraduate research.
In fact, the conference has presented key insights that are relevant for postgraduate research. And it is my belief that postgraduate students will learn lessons from the various presentations, roundtable discussions, and panel experts who espouse on the theme for this year's conference.
From UCC, Abigail Lissel Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now, the Lighthouse Christian Mission School and Brighter Moon Preparatory School in the Navrongo in the Upper East region have secured spots among the top 50 contenders in the 2025 Inter-School Reading Quiz. The competition is steadily progressing to the 116th stage, and the PEBI Cups team now on the verification tour to confirm the reading results of participating schools across the country. And they stopped at Navrongo in the Upper East region, beg your pardon, where the two schools went through the process. Our correspondent, Albert Sorry, has more in this report.
The PEBI Cups Inter-Schools Reading Quiz aims to get children to love to read so they can succeed in school. It also aims to ignite a vibrant reading culture nationwide. Having commenced in October last year, the PEBI Cups Inter-Schools Reading Quiz was designed with the added incentive of earning points by passing quizzes on a wide range of books provided on the organization's digital platforms. This initiative aims to foster a strong culture of reading among Ghanaian children, emphasizing the importance of literature as a foundational skill for all learning. The founder and CEO of PEBI Cups, Anyele Pebi, explains further.
We have been able to engage schools from all across the country to participate in this reading competition, and we had them reading from the month of October all the way to February. We are going around the country now verifying their reading results in order to shortlist the top 32 schools to take part in the actual competition, from where they will go to the round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the finals, where we have our grand winner.
She also explained how the schools were selected to be part of the competition.
In selecting the schools, we actually didn't restrict our selection process. We advertised that schools could apply and join, and so we had schools applying from all over the country, and they just had to commit to guide their children in the reading process, to help them to sign onto our platform and to read the hundreds of books, thousands of books there, so that they could pass the quizzes, and then those quizzes get them points for which they will be able to qualify. And the verification tour that is nationwide is being done for the schools that were in the top 50 after 4 months of reading. So Lighthouse Christian Mission School in Navrongo was one of the schools that were in the top 50 schools in the whole of PEBI Cups, as well Brighter Moon Preparatory School was also one of the top 50 schools in the whole of Pebi Caps, and both schools are in Avrongo. That's why we are here.
That's it for the news proper. Let's get into the business update now with Benjamin Akakbo.
Our apologies for that. But for now, we're heading straight into our currency market. Let's get into our sole story for the morning. And a former Securities and Exchange Commission Director General, Dr. Edu Anani-Antwi, is pushing for more education on investments to minimize misunderstanding between banks and bondholders. This was after some Eurobond investors started the process to sue banks over losses recorded as a result of the debt exchange program. Dr. Antwi says this approach could help minimize these challenges.
See, as I have always been arguing that investors require information to make informed decisions. And that is why if you go to the Securities and Exchange Commission, whenever any issuer is going to issue some securities, the Commission will require you to provide sufficient, adequate information. That information is to enable investors decide whether or not they will purchase the bonds. So sometimes the issuers will think that the regulator is forcing them to disclose so much, but that is what is required so that they will base their decision on the information available. Again, sometimes the information is given, and once it is given, if you, the investor, you don't read. And I mean, sometimes people do not read the information, even though the information is provided for the investor. In many cases, people will just, if there's a prospectus, they will just turn to the end page where the form, subscription form is there, and then they will just fill and sign and purchase the shares. In that case, the information has been provided for you. You decided not to read. So you can't come back and say somebody didn't give you the information. But if you're able to prove that the information was with the advisor and the advisor did not give you that information for you to make informed decision about what to do, then I am saying that you may be able to prove a case against the advisor for not acting professionally in that manner.
Well, let's get into our commodities market now. It's a wrap. It's a Duku business update done and dusted. Back to you, Sweetie Abochi.
Well, thank you, Ben, for serving us business updates. That wraps up the AM News Bulletin on the show. Up next, news review segment. Our guests will join us shortly and the conversations will begin. Stay with us. We'll be right back.